Chapter 371, Blood is Thicker Than Water. Su-ro could understand her ex-husband's decision to relinquish custody rights, as he probably didn't want to see her. However, when it came to making Ling Tian give up all guardianship rights, she couldn't comprehend it. She blurted out, "Husband, if we don't sign, will you refuse to donate for our daughter?" Ling Tian, with a disdainful expression, replied, "Su-ro, you are just too. I don't want to talk to you. Go find your old man and discuss it with him. Or better yet, let him come and talk to me." Having driven away his ex-wife, Ling Tian took out a cigarette box, put it back, and then took out a pack of gum. His preparations for donation didn't affect his work as a physician, he could still treat Chang Lao. "Dr. Fang, I didn't expect your children to be so good-looking. I really adore them. Oh, at my age, if I let them call me godmother, I'm too old. If they call me grandmother, I'm too young," said Li Dong's wife, full of admiration for Fang Hao. "You've been doing well with your conditioning lately. I think you and Old Li will have children soon," Fang Hao remarked. Li Dong's wife replied, "We're trying our best. Unfortunately, our looks can't compare to yours. Our child will surely be ugly. Parents never think their own children are ugly." Fang Hao chuckled, feeling a pang in his heart. After all, no matter how good-looking his daughter was, she wasn't his biological child. Could he tell anyone that? While continuing his preparations for donation after treating Chang Lao, Su-ro also arrived at Tianjifeng and placed the agreement in front of Ling Tian. After reading it, Ling Tian tore it up immediately, angrily saying, "This Fang Hao, he is taking advantage of the situation. I've never seen such a despicable person." Not calling him little turtle as before, admitting the husband's excellence? Feeling the pressure? Or thinking that the husband, being a donor, devalues not only him but also their daughter? Su-ro's eyes sparkled, as if she had known this outcome long ago. She pulled out another agreement and said, "Our daughter has a good relationship with her father. In the past 3 or 4 years, she has listened to him the most. We should be grateful that he doesn't want to harm our daughter. That's why he didn't expose us immediately." Ling Tian said, "Even so, I can't sign it. In all these years, I have only this child of my own. Can I just hand her over to someone else? Since he doesn't want to harm my daughter, if I don't sign, what can he do?" "Lin Tian, you're being a bit unreasonable. Actually, my husband may not necessarily want the guardianship of our daughter. If the daughter is close to him, does it matter whether she is biologically related? In any case, she is in his hands. He just wants to see our attitude. For you, even if the daughter is yours, if she doesn't feel close to you, what can you do? In a few years, when she has her own worldview, she will judge right from wrong. You will be an old man in your 70s or 80s. Will she recognize you? Impossible. My daughter will never deny me. Blood is thicker than water, she has to recognize me." Ling Tian became agitated, coughing several times in a row before stopping. His throat emitted a hoarse sound, indicating phlegm. Su-ro said, "Blood is thicker than water? But don't forget, this time our daughter will accept the hematopoietic stem cells and even bone marrow from her father. With his donation, she will regenerate blood inside her body. You see, won't there be his blood in our daughter's body now? The saying, 'blood is thicker than water,' applies to him as well." "Susu, you? Please stop. You keep mentioning husband all the time. What are you trying to provoke in me? Fang Hao wants to get our daughter. He has sinister intentions. You actually agreed. What are you thinking? He is my husband. It's your fault for not marrying me. If you had married me, you would be my husband. I wouldn't call him husband then. Will you marry me? Susu, don't force me. Then, don't bother about us anymore. Let us endure the cold eyes of relatives and friends, the public scorn. Even if the fact that our daughter is not his biological child is exposed, people will only think it's my shame, my loose morals. I am the cheap woman of my husband. And you, playing with me, cheating on my husband, making my husband happy to become a father, how amazing you are. You can continue to be proud and at ease with yourself." Su-ro picked up her bag and was about to leave. "Susu, what are you? Can't we discuss this calmly?" Ling Tian hurriedly got up to block Su-ro, not letting her leave. He knew that if she left now, he might not see her for a long time. "Ling Tian, it's not that we can't discuss it, but my husband is pressuring me. My parents are everywhere asking about your existence. I'm also carrying a child in my belly. I'm just a woman, how much can you expect me to bear? How much can I endure? Ling Tian, you love me, and I love you too, but you don't do anything. Well, let me go back to my husband, let my parents dispel their suspicions about me." Su-ro, not knowing when, had started shedding tears. While wiping them away, she continued, my mother, my daughter, are both suffering from illness now. My father is beginning to believe that I have someone outside. With my husband's hints, my father will soon suspect you. If you don't want that day to come, you have to let me return to my husband as soon as possible. Let me and my husband remarry quickly, so that my parents' suspicions can be completely dispelled. Susu, I won't allow you to go back. Ling Tian was well aware that once Fang Hao accepted Su-ro would never come back to him. Just thinking about possibly never seeing this woman in front of him again made his heart ache inexplicably. He gritted his teeth and said, give me a few more days. Wait until I'm in better health, and when Jia completes the donation treatment, I'll go talk to Fang Hao. You want to wait until my husband is weakest before meeting him. What are you planning? Are you going to harm him by burning bridges? Are you crazy? I'm afraid of him. I'm afraid he'll hit me again. Only when he's lying on the sickbed and can't come down to hit me, then I'll go see him. Suddenly, Ling Tian laughed, a somewhat sinister laugh. Ling Tian, you're overthinking it. Last time, you wanted to strangle my son, you could have killed him. That's why my husband got angry. Besides, last time, he didn't really want to hurt you severely. This time, he won't do it even more. Su-ro rolled her eyes at the old man in front of her and said, what are you laughing at? Seriously. You're about to be beaten into a pig's head by my husband, and you're still laughing. She thought that if Ling Tian really went to talk to Fang Hao, there might be a turning point. Until her daughter received effective treatment, Fang Hao wouldn't trouble her again. During this time, she could gain some breathing space. She remembered something and said, my father's model building has been constructed and is now in the decoration stage. You had a good relationship with my mom before. Tell me, during that time with my mom, was there any shameful history between you two? The model building, it can't be built. It's a waste of effort. As Ling Tian spoke, the bracelet he was wearing suddenly vibrated. His brows furrowed deeply, reluctantly saying, Old Wang is looking for me, I have to go for treatment. Alright, then I'll go back and give my husband an answer. Don't forget. 2 things, talk to my husband about our daughter. Second, recall the events of the past. Su-ro left, feeling in high spirits. Chapter 372, Bullied. Several days later, the bone marrow donation was successful. Fang Hao had taken a considerable amount of mobilizing drugs, and his body's reaction was significant. At this moment, his entire body, especially his legs, was completely numb, devoid of sensation. Although he hadn't anticipated such a powerful side effect, at least his hands could still exert some force. He could only rest in bed and wait for this side effect to pass. Even if there were significant side effects, they were limited to his limbs, not affecting his professional thinking. Reviewing his daughter's examination data, he reached a reassuring conclusion. Su-ro, your old man, should be coming now. Fang Hao closed his eyes and waited for a moment. He heard someone pushing the door open, and the footsteps were light. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was the big back of the head, and he knew who it was, the one who had been cuckolded, Ling Tian. He couldn't help but clench his fists, wanting to rush down and beat him to death. Fang Hao, do you want to fight me? I'm not afraid of you now. Ling Tian cautiously watched Fang Hao, feeling a bit uneasy, having to be careful. Spit, old dog. Fang Hao lay there. The more he looked at Ling Tian, the more nauseous he felt. It was this kind of old thing that his ex-wife. He couldn't help but spit directly at him when he thought about the old thing being with his ex-wife. It made him extremely disgusted. Didn't spit on me. Ling Tian avoided it, smirked slightly, clenched his fist, and smashed it toward Fang Hao's face. But Fang Hao's limbs were numb, not paralyzed. He made a move and directly grabbed Ling Tian's wrist. Bang, bang. The next second, Fang Hao heard a thunderous sound, vibrating his eardrums. Then, the hand holding Ling Tian's wrist felt the pulse, like the gas valve of a high-pressure cooker beating against his fingertips. I didn't bring a stethoscope. How could I hear the sound of the old guy's heartbeat? How can I sense his pulse? In a moment of surprise, Fang Hao found that Ling Tian's other fist was slowly coming toward his face. Is it in slow motion? Fang Hao took action, grabbing the incoming fist. But it was quickly broken free. After all, he was in a very numb state and couldn't exert much force. After breaking free, Ling Tian left directly. Old dog, don't go. Fang Hao wanted to get up but found he had no strength. Su-ro came a step later, deliberately avoiding Ling Tian at first, so even if her parents bumped into her, they wouldn't arouse suspicion. But she saw Ling Tian coming out not long after entering, probably not even a minute. After Ling Tian came out, he didn't even acknowledge her and left directly. She was very surprised. She hurried in and saw Fang Hao struggling. Fang Hao was still shouting that he wanted to beat the old dog. She hurried up, covered Fang Hao's mouth, and whispered, "Are you crazy? Speaking so loudly, do you want everyone to know?" Fang Hao reached out and grabbed Su Ro's wrist, also hearing Su Ro's heartbeat, not just one, but 2 faint heartbeats. In other words, he could simultaneously measure 3 pulses. 2 boys? The child in her belly was a boy? My limbs are numb, making me temporarily more sensitive? Fang Hao let go of Su Ro and said, "Regarding our daughter, the old guy won't let go, but I can't give her to you again. After all, my blood is flowing in her veins. Either take her away while I'm like this, or else, when I can get up, don't even think about it." "Husband, thank you. Without you, Jia would. I won't take her away. I will leave her with you. I will remarry you, and then the 5 of us will live happily together." "Get lost. Who said I'm remarrying you? What are you thinking? Go find your old lover." Fang Hao scolded. "Husband, don't get excited, don't be angry. It's not suitable to stimulate me right now because your hands are powerless. I won't leave, I'll never leave." Su Ro caressed Fang Hao's face as if appreciating a piece of art, flawless and enchanting. What are you trying to do?" Fang Hao noticed that Su Ro's gaze was abnormal, like a mother wolf. "Husband, I love you." Su Ro went in for a direct kiss. Fang Hao tried to push her away, but he couldn't exert any force, unable to resist Su Ro. Moreover, Su Ro was now getting carried away and not at all gentle. His face was held firmly by Su Ro's hands, facing her directly, unable to evade as she kissed him, and he could only keep his mouth tightly closed. But he found that after a while, Su Ro's hands were not staying in place, they reached under the sheets. "Husband, look at you, for the sake of our daughter, enduring such a strong reaction to mobilizing drugs, you're even lacking vitality now." Su Ro attempted, finding that little Fang Hao remained unaffected. In such a state, certain activities were better avoided, though she really wanted to with Fang Hao. Feeling touched, she kissed Fang Hao more tenderly. This man had once loved her deeply. If he hadn't discovered her secret, she could have continued deceiving him and enjoyed his truest love. Unfortunately, now he despised her, not touching her in daily life. But she fell in love with him and wanted to regain his love. Now, she just wanted to make this man feel her love. "Husband, can you feel it? I love you so much, I've truly fallen in love with you. You should love me as before." "Joking. Seeing you, I just feel nauseous." "No nausea allowed. You have to accept me, you have to love me." Su Ro didn't give Fang Hao a chance to speak and kissed him again. After a long time, Su Ro also felt tired. Seeing that Fang Hao kept his mouth shut, not cooperating, and it didn't feel the same as before, she let him go first. Wiping the saliva from the corners of Fang Hao's mouth, she said, "Fortunately, I didn't use the kind of lip gloss that would come off in color. Otherwise, your whole face would be smeared." Hee hee. She was pregnant and stopped using lipstick, but she still used some moisturizing lip balm. "Su Ro, I am very clear about your thoughts, and you should be clear about mine. Our hearts are no longer on the same channel." Fang Hao said indifferently, with a cold tone. Su Ro's hand movements paused slightly, and then she wiped more gently. She said, "Husband, you're talking nonsense. We will remarry, and our hearts will always be together. If you change your mind, reject me, and make me anxious, I will make you paralyzed for the rest of your life. I will take care of you forever. During this time, I will also get you, and then I will have another child for you. Let you know how much I love you. If that day really comes, I will definitely kill you first." "Husband, do we really have to love and kill each other?" Su Ro pressed her face against Fang Hao's face, speaking softly, with a hint of sobbing. "How can you forgive me? How can you be willing to forgive me? I will never forgive you for betraying me." "No, you have to forgive. You must forgive me." Su Ro kissed again. However, the next second, she regretted it, hurriedly patting Fang Hao's face to make him let go because Fang Hao unexpectedly bit her lip. After letting Fang Hao loosen his grip, she quickly stepped back. Using her tongue to lick the place, she found a slight pain and saw blood when she touched it with her hand. She scolded lightly, "You're crazy, you actually bit me. Are you a dog? I'm grateful to you, and you bite me. It's really no good deed goes unpunished." She was about to leave but was stopped by Fang Hao. Turning back, she said, "Husband, I knew you couldn't bear to see me leave. Hurry up and apologize to me, and then we'll remarry. I will forgive you. I saved your daughter, and you should be grateful." Give me the medical records of your old lover from these years, including the treatment records, medical examination results, and medication details. What do you want to do? He may be sick, don't you want to know what illness? What do you mean? Husband, are you joking? Suro didn't believe it, but the man in front of her was indeed a real doctor. She had never seen anyone more skilled than Fang Hao in medicine. Also, from Fang Hao's tone, it didn't sound like a lie. She had no choice but to believe and asked immediately, what illness does he have? I'm not sure. I need data. Wang Hanlin is the old guy's private doctor. Go find Wang Hanlin. I asked old Wang, but he refused to say. Ah, you were so clever when deceiving me, but in front of the old guy, you act so foolish? Husband, I hope you're not lying to me. Otherwise, I will find someone to break your limbs. Suro kissed Fang Hao on the forehead before leaving. Chapter 373, I Refuse. Fang Hao, where are you injured? Let me check it quickly. Lu Jing came over, worried when she saw blood on Fang Hao's forehead. I'm fine, it's Suro's carelessness. Notify everyone that without my consent, Suro is not allowed to visit my daughter. Anyone else who wants to visit must get my approval. Suro is very likely to transfer my daughter. Fang Hao had to be careful, not only against his ex-wife but also against Zhang Lingtian. Lu Jing said, isn't it too much? Your daughter still needs observation now. Don't think about Suro with ordinary thinking, she has no bottom line. I understand. I'll go instruct them. Lu Jing didn't dare to slack off and quickly went to the special care ward. Seeing that Fang Jiejie was still there, she breathed a sigh of relief. Fang Hao's side effects lasted for a day and a night. He recovered, and his legs and feet regained strength, allowing him to stand and walk. He looked at his hands. There was no significant change in appearance, but he had a feeling that they were more sensitive. He took his daughter's pulse and could feel it more profoundly, checking it more finely. My fingers are more sensitive. Moreover, he found that the quality of the stethoscope suddenly improved. He could hear more clearly, especially certain noises. Hearing has improved too. He didn't know what happened, but he gladly accepted this benefit. After his daughter received the donation, although she still looked weak in the sterile cabin, there were earth-shattering changes in the data. Blood islands appeared earlier, and as long as the subsequent white blood cells and platelets recovered to a certain level, she could be discharged home. Moreover, the probability of a 10-year survival was almost 100%. At this point, Fang Hao could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Another day passed, and Fang Hao returned to normal strength. He wouldn't be bullied by his ex-wife like before, but neither his ex-wife nor Zhang Lingtian appeared again. Lu Jing came to Fang Hao. She came to say goodbye because she was going back to the capital. She said, "What's wrong with you? Your daughter is fine and recovering. You should be happy. Why do you look unhappy?" Fang Hao couldn't be happy because he hadn't obtained the custody and all the rights for his daughter. He didn't want his daughter to have any connection with Zhang Lingtian. Blood ties couldn't be changed, but through education and nurturing, he could make his daughter not recognize Zhang Lingtian's existence. After raising a pet for 1 or 2 months, he couldn't bear to part with it, let alone a daughter he had nurtured for 3 or 4 years. His daughter had improved so much, but his ex-wife and Zhang Lingtian hadn't shown up in the last 2 days, making Fang Hao have a premonition that those two inhuman things were plotting something. He couldn't confide in Lu Jing, so he said, "Director, I don't want you to leave. Can't you stay? It turned out this guy wanted to keep me." Lu Jing felt comfortable inside, her face slightly warm. Deep inside, there was a certain emotional fluctuation. She said, "Then you become the dean, and then you can transfer me back." "Okay, I'll do my best." "Yes, becoming the dean is necessary, but please don't do it just to transfer me back. You have to do it for yourself. I can't be transferred again until at least a year in my current position." Lu Jing smiled and continued, "We usually talk on the phone and WeChat. It's only a 2 or 3 hour flight. Why do you make it seem like we won't meet or contact each other? I'm here to bid you farewell. Also, you have to take care of your master." "Master? I'm afraid he's having a good time with that little buddy." Thinking that his master was a woman who betrayed her master and family, she wasn't worth caring about. Fang Hao asked, "What happened?" "Your master has become a visiting scholar. The project hasn't been completed, so he can hardly go home. I'm worried that they will be separated, and there may be problems with their marriage. I don't know if it's just my intuition, but I always feel that your master's thoughts are wandering a bit." "What do you mean?" "Take a look at this photo." Lu Jing opened her social media and found a picture of master traveling, showing Fang Hao. This photo, I always feel something is wrong. Really? Fang Hao took a glance. The background was a mountain road, and Master wore a sun hat, revealing her rosy face. In this situation, at first glance, it seems that mountain climbing and hiking activities make people flush. However, in Fang Hao's eyes, this is the crimson appearance that a woman shows after getting that kind of moistening. Women in such mountainous areas, climbing with the winding mountain roads, lush vegetation, and in a hurry, are undoubtedly stimulated a lot. Women who cheat never do it just once, only countless times. Fang Hao sighed in his heart, but said, I didn't see any problems. Oh, maybe it's because I'm a woman that I have a certain bad premonition. I hope it's not true. Whenever you have time, go and see her. Lu Jing didn't suspect that Fang Hao was hiding anything. She really thought that Fang Hao didn't see any problems, making her uncertain as well. After exchanging a few more pleasantries, she bid farewell to Fang Hao and left. Next, Fang Hao went to check on Cheng Lao. He found that he could diagnose the symptoms more thoroughly. He discussed with her family and suggested a small knee surgery. When Li Dong and others heard that the surgery risk was minimal and that if successful, Cheng Lao would recover faster, possibly standing up within a month, they immediately agreed. They asked Fang Hao to arrange the surgery as soon as possible. Cheng Lao was also very happy and willingly accepted the surgery. The surgery was also very successful, repairing the bones and joints without the need for artificial bone materials. After returning from the operating room, Fang Hao had just taken a sip of water when he was summoned to the dean's office. He directly asked, Dean Chen, do you need me for something? Dean Chen said, recently, the provincial and municipal health bureaus are discussing the appointment of the hospital dean again. You also submitted your candidacy. I want to know your thoughts. No wonder Director Lu mentioned the position of the dean. It seems that some people are secretly exerting their efforts. Fang Hao said, Dean Chen, I am young and inexperienced. My opinion doesn't matter. Your opinions matter. I don't have the qualifications and capabilities. Why ask me? A sly guy. Dean Chen said, although you are young, your medical skills have already impressed many people. Many say you are the strongest doctor at the Provincial People's Hospital. The hospital is ultimately a place to treat and save lives, and the doctor's professional ability is naturally the most important. So, you have the qualifications to express your opinion. Who said I am the strongest doctor? Is it Su Ro and Zhang Lingtian? Are they trying to push me into this position as a return for treating their daughter? Fang Hao thought, Dean Chen, I'm young, but I have limited experience. I don't think I'm suitable. Everything is up to you and the other leaders to decide. If we were to consider medical skills, I think I can apply. If we consider qualifications and age, I don't meet the requirements. Everything is decided by you leaders. Dean Chen continued, what if we offer you the position of vice dean, in charge of medical affairs? I refuse. Fang Hao didn't think about it and directly refused. As long as it's not the dean, he would still be manipulated and used by others, and he would still face uncertainty. Even if he became the dean, he would still be transferred by the higher-ups, but that couldn't be done with just a word. Within the hospital, once the dean was unhappy, he could vent his anger on his subordinates and staff. Chapter 374, Toad. Huang Yidao waited on the corridor, and when Fang Hao came over, he handed him a Huazi cigarette, saying, Dean Chen called you for what? Regarding the appointment of the dean? Yes. He mentioned two things. Some people outside are spreading rumors that I am the strongest doctor in the hospital, saying that if I don't become the dean, no one else is worthy. Did you have a hand in this? Fang Hao looked at Huang Yidao. Huang Yidao denied, saying, how could I say such things? I just talked to Secretary Gua about your situation. I think that if there is such a day, you can become the attending physician with more confidence than me. I didn't bring up the matter of you becoming the dean. That would be too deliberate. Besides, because Hua Mulan has mentioned you several times in front of her family, if I bring it up again, wouldn't it be unnecessary? Exhaling smoke, he continued, perhaps it's the patients or their families that you treated who feel grateful for your help, and they are shouting for you. This is the people's voice. The people's voice? Nonsense. If not you, then it's probably Su Ro and that old dog Zhang's doing. Fang Hao said, regardless of who is shouting, I also have the same intention. Oh, Guolan mentioned me, what did she mean? A few things? First, she may really intend to be with you and hopes to get the approval and blessings of her family. You're lucky. Second, she can't resist the arranged blind dates at home, so she pushed you out to attract attention. That's your misfortune. In any case, these are things you have to experience. Can you handle it? With my current status and strength, can I handle it? I can only bear it with my head. This matter hasn't even started, no need to consider it. Fang Hao smiled helplessly, took consecutive puffs of his cigarette, and said again, "Oh, Dean Chen also had another suggestion, proposing that I become the vice dean in charge of medical affairs to make full use of my medical expertise. I refused. Refusing is right. If you're going to do it, be the top guy." Huang Yidao looked at a luxury sedan coming in below with a license plate from the capital. He said, "It seems, Fang Hao, you now have two choices, either come with me to the operating room and stay there, or go home immediately." "Why are there only two choices? What are you up to?" "Your prospective mother-in-law came to the hospital. She couldn't have come to see me. She doesn't have any relatives or friends here, so she can only come for you." "Prospective mother-in-law? Guolan's mother? She's here?" Fang Hao was surprised, thought for a moment, and said, "Then let's meet and clear things up. People of their level can't avoid it anyway." While they were talking, Huang Yidao's phone rang. He gestured to Fang Hao and said, "See, the call has come too. If it's looking for me, it's looking for you. What do you say? Where should we meet?" "Let her come to the inpatient department, my temporary office. It's very quiet and has very few people." Fang Hao's office was in the VIP ward area of the inpatient department, with a dedicated elevator to come up, making it quiet and secluded. Huang Yidao answered the call, then personally went down to greet and lead the way, but didn't say much. Just as Fang Hao returned to his office, he soon saw a dignified and elegant middle-aged woman. Her facial features were quite similar to Guolan's, and with her current appearance, one could imagine her youth, a woman of peerless beauty. Through this woman, one could also see the old age of Guolan. "You're young and good-looking, with excellent skin, but lacking the robust and vigorous demeanor. You seem like a little white face. With just this, you want to win over my daughter?" Guolan's mother recognized Fang Hao at a glance because she had seen photos provided by her daughter. His appearance passed the test, and even the rarely seen handsome young man. But she knew more about Fang Hao's situation, thinking that besides having a face that could attract her daughter, he was useless. Upon entering with insults? "Who do you look down upon?" Still, Fang Hao asked, "Are you Guolan's mother?" Mrs. Guo said, "Yes, otherwise, would I come looking for you? You just realized it, you really lack insight. I'm also very familiar with your situation. You're from a rural area, divorced, and have a child. A small house of about 100 square meters, with only a few tens of thousands in assets. I really can't understand where you get the confidence to have thoughts about my daughter. Indeed, background checks must be thorough. However, is it just as superficial as this?" Fang Hao didn't think so. His funds were only a few tens of thousands because he used tens of millions to acquire the shares of Sun Jingwei, the former chairman of Blue Sky Group. Later, he signed some agreements, transferring his money to some companies under his parents' names. The company controlling those companies under his parents' names was another shell company of his. These details wouldn't be discovered without a thorough professional investigation. The investigation would only reveal that Fang Hao registered a shell company with no substantial funds. Fang Hao didn't explain, instead, he counter-questioned, "And what about you? What do you have?" Mrs. Guo snorted lightly, saying, "What do we have? We have 3 quadrangle courtyards in the capital, at least 10 listed companies, each with assets exceeding hundreds of millions. Don't even mention houses and savings, they're just a bunch of numbers. In short, Lon Lon is a noble swan in the sky, while you're a toad in the rural ditch. You think beautifully, that's your right, but if you dare to reach out, then it's your fault." She continued, "If Lon Lon wants to find a man, she also has to find one from a comparable background. Do you understand what a match in social status means? Damn, Guolan, I could guess that your family is well off, but I didn't expect it to be this domineering." Fang Hao sneered and said, "Why does it sound like Lon Lon and I have actually succeeded, making you so resistant to me?" He said sternly, "That's right, I come from an ordinary rural background, and I'm currently just an ordinary doctor. I don't have much savings, just got divorced, and I'm still taking care of my child. But I'm not as unbearable as you describe." Mrs. Guo coldly cut off the conversation. "Do you want to say, 30 years on the east bank of the river, 30 years on the west bank, never despise the youth for being poor? You're truly naive. You can never match Lon Lon. Because Lon Lon is excellent, and now, anyone who can match Lon Lon is also outstanding. This kind of excellence is not something someone like you, who comes from the countryside and has not seen the world, can understand. She snorted, saying, "Why am I wasting my time talking to you? I came to warn you. You're not allowed to have any connection with my daughter anymore, otherwise, you'll regret it. If you persist in your delusion, you'll have to bear the consequences when the time comes, and don't blame me for not warning you." Mrs. Guo threw down a chilling warning and then left. Outside, she didn't show a good expression to Huang Yidao either. She and Huang Yidao went down to the parking lot. She got in the car, and then said, "I've already warned that toad just now. If he dares to think about Lan Lan again, I'll make him roll back to the countryside. You also keep an eye on him, don't let him behave inappropriately, otherwise, he'll bear the consequences himself." Huang Yidao frowned and asked, "Did you say that to Fang Hao like this?" "Of course, otherwise, why would I give him a good expression?" Mrs. Guo continued to reprimand Huang Yidao, saying, "You too, how can you introduce such a toad to Lan Lan? Does Lan Lan need a little white face? If she wants a little white face, couldn't she pick one up anywhere?" Huang Yidao glanced at the old woman in front of him. For the first time, there was disgust in his eyes. He said, "It seems like you found a more powerful doctor." Mrs. Guo frowned, closed the window, and muttered coldly, "I would plead with a toad? What a joke." Chapter 375, The Real World. Unjustly ridiculed and mocked, although Fang Hao, during his conversation with Huang Yidao, verbally claimed not to care, he still felt unhappy deep down. He remembered this old woman. Of course, this discontent dissipated when he saw his daughter Fang Jiazhou and son Tian Tian again. He wouldn't bring negative emotions from work to his children. In front of them, he would always be the omnipotent father. 2 days after his ex-wife disappeared, she reappeared to accompany their daughter. Holding the test report data, she came to Fang Hao's office. Since there were no outsiders present, she directly asked, "Will Jiazhou be discharged if her indicators are normal in another week?" Fang Hao replied, "Don't think about taking her away. This time, without my consent, you and that old man shouldn't even think about touching my daughter." "Honey, do you want to say this isn't my child? It has nothing to do with me?" "No, I raised her. This time, I donated bone marrow to save her. If you want to take her away forcibly, we'll see each other in court. People fight for a breath, and Buddhas receive an incense stick. For my daughter, I won't let go as easily as last time. Honey, don't get excited. Don't be angry. Let's talk calmly." Suro wouldn't dare to go to court now. When Fang Hao presented evidence like the paternity test, the court might not listen to their opinions but would consider their daughter's wishes. And their daughter would definitely stand by Fang Hao's side. Even if she and Zhang Lingtian forced the court to open a hearing, it would be a mess. She would be isolated. "Don't say these dramatic words. What about the things I want? The transfer agreement for guardianship and the old man's past treatment records." Fang Hao reached out to demand. "As for the guardianship, you should slow down. This child is Lingtian's only child, and he won't let go. I'm currently trying to persuade him." "Not let go?" "Not letting go is not an option. He has only 2 choices, either give up guardianship and all rights or publicly admit that the daughter is his." "Honey, are you forcing him to marry me? This isn't what you've always dreamed of." Are you making our affairs public? Are you waiting to see our jokes? Wife, how can you be so ruthless? Can't you give me more time, give us more time?" "Suro, don't pretend to be pitiful. You're currently pleased in your heart. Because you know that when I decide to do something, I'll accomplish it. I helped you force that old man, so get ready to face the consequences." Fang Hao said calmly, without joy or sorrow on his face. "Honey, I'm not pleased. I still love you the most. I'd rather remarry you. As long as you agree, we can remarry immediately. Then, I will definitely treat you like my life. I will. Don't disgust people. Hand it over." Fang Hao interrupted his ex-wife. He knew that his ex-wife must have gained something during these days, otherwise, she wouldn't come to him. Sure enough, Suro took out a folded document bag from her bag and said, "Old Wang's mouth is very stubborn. I finally got him to speak, but he used the excuse of old age and poor memory, only recalling the treatment records and medication in the past month. These are his handwritten notes." "Oh, his mouth is so stubborn. How did you make him speak?" Fang Hao didn't hurry to open it but stared at his ex-wife. "Old Wang, he has an 18-year-old kid. I tracked him, and then he had nothing to say." Suro also took out a photo, indeed, a photo of a man and a woman eating. Those unfamiliar with the situation would not suspect anything. However, once the truth was known, it would give people chills. Indeed, he is no better than that old man. Fang Hao wanted to return the photo, but he suddenly remembered the girl in the photo. Wasn't she the daughter of someone he knew? Li Xiaoxi, you're open-minded enough to seduce me, but your daughter is the same. Like mother, like daughter. He took back the photo, then opened the file, glanced at the transcripts inside, and looked at his ex-wife. Did you tamper with it? Did you show it to someone else, or did you make any deletions? Honey, you have to believe me. I'm completely clueless about this. How could I deceive you? Then it's old Wang not being honest. He deceived you because you're not a professional. Find him again, and I'll question him. Exactly. Luckily, I kept a close eye on him. He should be at home now. We can go directly. Suro's face showed some dissatisfaction, but she wasn't in a hurry. She didn't believe that old Wang could spill everything. Fang Hao looked at the photo again, confirming that it was Li Xiaoxi's daughter. He had seen a group photo on Li Xiaoxi's desk and another one from photos taken at gatherings provided by Jin Xiaojian. At that time, he didn't believe Jin Xiaojian's claim that she was over 18, so Jin Xiaojian showed him the photo for confirmation. He's Wang Hanlin, Old Man Zhang's personal doctor. Does he know about you and Old Man Zhang? Maybe. Maybe? I think he probably knows. Disgusting. Honey, the reality is not as you imagine. I have my difficulties. Suro, do you think you can wash away your past and return? Can you be truly innocent? Honey, no, I know I'm impure, but I still say, you are the man I love the most. Right now, you might not believe it, but eventually, you will understand. Suro, we have no future. Then cherish the present. There is no present. Between you and me, there is nothing. Husband, let's not argue. I'll go check on our daughter. When you finish work, we'll go find Wang Hanlin. Suro knew that Fang Hao wouldn't accept her for a while, and it wasn't suitable to provoke him. So, she retreated for now. Imperial doctor? I think you're an imperial woman. You're Old Man Zhang's personal doctor, so you definitely know many things about Old Man Zhang. If you don't speak up, then sorry, you'll have to be swallowed by Li Xiaoxi. Fang Hao cast a scornful glance at the photo of Wang Hanlin. He didn't think Li Xiaoxi was someone easy to deal with. If he messed with Li Xiaoxi's daughter, it wouldn't be so easy to get away with it. Wait a minute, Jin Xiaojian hasn't mentioned the matter of his buddy arranging an abortion for a long time, claiming the pot was broken. But if it's a woman who doesn't want to have an abortion, or the child is old Wang's? Fang Hao came to this conclusion, and he felt uncomfortable. Because a man of old Wang's age, or even a bit older, still had the potential for fertility. Didn't Old Man Zhang let Suro get pregnant? This damn world. He took a moment to calm his emotions, then sent a message to Li Jun, asking him to send over Wang Hanlin's household registration information. Li Jun didn't ask for the reason, and soon sent the information Fang Hao wanted. Fang Hao found that Wang Hanlin was from the Wang family in Jiangdong City, belonging to a large family. However, Wang Hanlin was a natural-born child, unable to compete with legitimate heirs like Wang Shanglin. He showed talent in medicine at a young age, went to study medicine, and stayed away from the family's power struggles. Later, he became an imperial doctor. Because he didn't treat himself, and the Wang family didn't need him for major illnesses, he left the Wang family, establishing his own branch outside, living independently. Old Wang had 3 sons and 2 daughters. His sons were all developing well abroad. The daughters were in the south, also having status and prestige. The old couple didn't spend their twilight years together. The old man lived with one of his daughters. So, Fang Hao thought that if old Wang developed a taste like Sang Ling Tian, fell in love with tender grass, and discovered the possibility of having a child in his old age, he probably decided to leave the child. Otherwise, with old Wang's medical skills, he would have already discovered the pregnancy of his little partner. If he had discovered it, why didn't he have an abortion earlier? It must be because he intended to keep the child. This damn reality.